Novus,
Ordo,
Seclorum,
the
New World Order. Introduction. We feel the need to start with solemn introduction. It is important for you to know who we are, what our mission is, and how we came to be. Like you, we are looking for answers. We wish to tear away the veil of the New World Order. If you are here, you see that something is horribly wrong with the world. Our governance is godless, authoritarian. Our culture is materialistic, lecherous. The influence of religion is waning. Such a time was foretold. My journey began with a revelation, divine inspiration. I was visiting Rockefeller Center while on a trip to New York City. While I was exploring the city, I was struck by a statue of a muscular man holding up a representation of the Earth. I asked a group of tourists who the image represented. Atlas, they replied. No more than an hour later, I came across the GE building and was struck by a beautiful image above the door. Engraved was a quote from the book of Isaiah. Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. I was pleased to see biblical images included in the Rockefeller Center displays. Finally, at the end of the evening, I came across a third image. This one the most striking of all. In Rockefeller Plaza, I saw a golden statue. The image seemed to depict a man, in flight, with a ball of fire in his hand. I later learned the image was that of Prometheus, the Greek god who brought fire to the human race. When I returned to my hotel room that night, I took to the internet to learn more about the sights I had seen that day. As I looked into the history and meaning of these images, I became progressively more disturbed. The images all had Masonic themes, drawing largely from Luciferian philosophy. I read of the prevalence of Masonic images throughout the United States, particularly Washington, D.C. I became convinced that something was gravely wrong. When I returned home, I continued to study the subject. 6 months later, I came to know logically what, on some level, I always knew intuitively. There is a foreign, evil force in the world that wishes to consolidate power and establish a one-world government. We are approaching the end times prophesied in Revelations. I realized that it was my duty as a Christian, as a human being, to penetrate and expose the Masonic conspiracy. First I convinced my sister, and then 5 of my friends of what I knew. This began a 3-year period of intensive studying. Though much of it has been from the internet, the vast majority has been from literature, well over 100 books. We've read the original Luciferian Masonic texts and the most contemporary literature. I am pleased to see such great interest in the NWO on the web. However, the internet is rife with misinformation and poorly crafted blogs, videos, etc. The goal of this web series is to give clear, concise, and scholarly information about the forces of the New World Order. I encourage you to fact-check my work and correct me if I make a mistake. I hope you will find these videos factually sound, as great care has been taken to ensure their reliability. This is the last time we will speak of ourselves. From this point on, we only discuss the NWO. For an impromptu introduction, maybe it is best that we start where I did, Rockefeller Center. Luciferian Masonic philosophy is rife with images alluding to both pagan and Christian theology. Luciferianism, a topic we will return to in greater detail, is a rebellion against God, an uprising of humanity against the Christian order. Masons take images from various cultures to articulate this point. Let us start by analyzing the image of Prometheus at Rockefeller Plaza. Prometheus is a titan of Greek mythology. Prometheus stole fire from Zeus to give to humanity. Fire, representing human progress and the advancement of the sciences, can be seen to broadly represent knowledge. This act was a rebellion against the supreme god, Zeus. As punishment, Zeus tethered Prometheus to a stone and his liver was pecked out by an eagle. Each day his liver would grow back only to be eaten again. for infinity. Note how this story mirrors the biblical story of Adam and Eve. Lucifer convinced Adam and Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge, in defiance of God's law. Lucifer was punished with eternal damnation. Prometheus defied the supreme god, Zeus. Lucifer defied God. Prometheus brought forbidden knowledge to humanity, as did Lucifer. Prometheus was eternally damned, as was Lucifer. Prometheus is the bringer of fire, whereas Lucifer literally translates into light bringing. The image at Rockefeller Plaza is therefore the symbolic representation of the Lucifer. We turn next to the image over the entrance to the GE building. The image is of Urizen, a god representing the material world. In his hand he holds a compass, signifying scientific progress, which is the most important image in Freemasonry. The image is an almost exact reproduction of an image by William Blake. At the base of the image is the inscription from Isaiah. While the inscription may seem banal and poetic, it is important to note that the passage is not intended as advice or instruction, but rather, it refers to biblical prophecy. Isaiah 2:4 He will judge between the nations and will settle disputes for many peoples. They will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will not take up sword against nation, nor will they train for war anymore. It is a reference to the prophecy of one world government. The image of swords into plowshares can also be seen in New York City in front of the United Nations building. Finally, we turn to Atlas. In Atlas we also find Luciferian symbolism. Like Prometheus, he rebelled against Zeus and was eternally damned. But in his case, his punishment was to bear the world on his shoulders. Notice how the statue resembles a mock image of Jesus Christ on the cross. Atlas is said to hold the fate of the entire world and is synonymous with godlike power. Two interesting side notes. 1. The statue bears an uncanny resemblance to the dictator, Benito Mussolini, and was built while he was still in power. 2. This pagan image was built right in front of St. Patrick's Church, which was quite controversial at the time. In conclusion, let us note the three running themes. 1. Symbolic Luciferian rebellion against God. 2. The power of science and knowledge. 3. Emancipation from God. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe for more installments.